I stood in the church, tuxedo fitting just right, heart thumping with nerves, but mostly elation. Kate was by my side, her hand in mine, and the world felt like it was finally falling into place. The ceremony had just ended, the weight of vows still hanging in the air like smoke. It should have been the happiest moment of my life. Then, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, still half smiling, assuming it was a congratulatory message. But it wasn't. The text from Greg Lawson was brief and to the point. "You're fired. Consider it my gift to you." I froze. The smile slipped from my face. My heart stopped beating for a moment, then hammered back into my chest, louder. Kate looked up at me, clearly expecting something. I couldn't even form words. "What is it?" she asked. I showed her the phone, not sure what I was hoping for. Sympathy, shock, anything but this calmness that seemed to creep over her face. She read it, then glanced at me. "Put the phone away. We'll deal with it later. This day is about us, not work." "Kate, this is my job. He can't just—" I said, "Put it away," she repeated, her voice steady, no trace of panic. It wasn't the reaction I expected, not at all. I felt the anger rise, bubbling up inside me, but I didn't press her. Instead, I stuffed the phone into my pocket, the weight of it like an anchor I couldn't shake. I nodded and tried to smile, but the happiness from earlier felt fake now, like I was playing a part. The reception was a blur after that. I forced myself to mingle, to laugh, but my mind was miles away, chewing on that message, trying to understand it, or maybe just escape it. I kept telling myself it didn't matter, that I'd figure it out later, but the truth was, I was shaken. And no matter how many drinks I had or how many well wishes I received, that damn text kept gnawing at me. I kept looking at my phone like it would magically fix everything. Around midnight, Kate and I finally made our way to the hotel room. She slipped into her gown, and for a second, I thought about telling her how much I hated everything that had just happened. But the silence between us felt like its own conversation. She wasn't offering me the comfort I expected. Not that I asked for it, but still. "I'm gonna call Greg," I said, feeling the urge to finally do something. "Maybe this whole thing's a misunderstanding." Kate gave me a flat look, her eyes not cold, but distant. "Why? Let it go. You don't need that job." I stopped myself, unsure of what I was even trying to say. "I don't know." She reached for my hand, squeezing it. "Today is about us, Paul. Tomorrow we'll figure it out. Let's not ruin our night." It wasn't what I wanted to hear. I didn't need comfort. I needed answers. But I didn't push. Instead, I went along with it, the pressure of the situation sinking deeper into my bones, leaving me with nothing but frustration and the nagging question of what the hell was going on. Tomorrow, I told myself. We'd figure it out tomorrow. But in that moment, the night felt less like a celebration and more like the beginning of something I couldn't control. The resort was stunning. Crystal clear water, palm trees swaying in the breeze. Everything looked like a postcard. Kate and I were standing on the balcony of our room, watching the sun dip into the ocean. The stress from the firing felt distant here, like it was happening to someone else. For a second, I almost believed everything was going to be okay. Kate, with that calm composure of hers, wrapped her arms around me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. "See? It's beautiful, right? This is our time," she said, her voice steady, like everything was already sorted out. I nodded, trying to push the thoughts of Greg's text away. "Yeah, it's perfect. We'll figure the rest out when we get back." She squeezed me tighter. "Exactly. Today is for us. Let's just enjoy it." I wanted to believe her, wanted to sink into this moment and forget everything else. But that damn phone in my pocket, heavy and silent, was still there. It felt like a ticking clock. The next morning, I woke up early, the sun barely breaking over the horizon. I went for a walk on the beach by myself, letting the sand slip between my toes, trying to clear my head. As I was heading back to the room, I checked my phone. Greg had left me another voicemail. The first few words sent a chill through me. "Paul, it's Greg. Listen, I need you to call me back. We've got a real problem here. The company's falling apart without your expertise. Tate's in over his head with the project. It's a goddamn mess." I stared at the screen for a second, hearing the desperation in his voice, then pressed the voicemail button to hear the rest. "Please, Paul, you're the only one who can fix this. I don't know how to get things back on track without you. Call me back. We can work something out. I'll do whatever it takes." The words echoed in my head, but I didn't call him back. Instead, I shoved the phone into my pocket again. As much as it ate at me, I didn't want to let it ruin the trip. When I got back to the room, Kate was sitting at the small table, a coffee in hand. She raised an eyebrow when she saw me walking in, but didn't say anything right away. "Anything from Greg?" she asked casually, but I could hear the subtle edge in her voice. I shrugged. "Yeah, just more of the same. Desperate to get me back, you know. But I'm not dealing with it right now. We're on vacation." She nodded, but then set the coffee down, her eyes narrowing. "Paul, you need to be careful with that company. I've been noticing some weird stuff with the finances lately, especially with contractors. It doesn't add up, and Greg's been handling things differently. I think there's more going on than just your firing." I frowned, trying to process what she was saying. "What do you mean, weird stuff?" Kate hesitated for a second, then shrugged. "Little things, contractor bids getting inflated, projects being delayed for no reason, costs suddenly tripling. It looks like someone's making a lot of money off the delays." Her words hit me like a punch. I didn't know if I was ready to believe it, or even what I'd do with that information if it was true. I just wanted to forget about work, just for a minute. But she was already standing up, grabbing her snorkel gear. "Let's talk about this later, okay? We're here for us, right now." I wanted to argue, but I didn't. Instead, I nodded and followed her out the door. The ocean was waiting, and the dive would clear my mind, even if just for a little while. The water was cold but refreshing, the kind of cold that made you forget everything above the surface. As we swam, I let myself be distracted, letting the pressure of it all slide off for a few hours. But when I came up for air, Kate's words about the company lingered in my mind, heavy and still. We got back from the honeymoon late that evening. I hadn't even fully unpacked when I sat down to go through my phone, the weight of everything catching up to me. It had been a few days since Greg's initial text, but he'd left me a stack of voicemails. I hit play on the first one. "Paul, it's Greg. You need to call me back. It's urgent. Things are falling apart. We need you. Call me, please." I let the next one play, and the next. Each message grew more frantic, more desperate, until the last one nearly broke me. "Paul, I need you back. We can't do this without you. Tate has messed everything up. It's falling apart. Please come back. This is bigger than you think." I stared at the phone, everything suddenly clicking into place. Tate. I hadn't put it together before, but now it was clear. Tate, Greg's son, my former direct superior, had taken over my role while I was gone. And from the sound of it, he was systematically tearing down everything I had built, my work, my project, everything. I sat there, my mind reeling. I should have seen this coming. He'd always been arrogant, always trying to take shortcuts, but this was sabotage. I could feel my anger swelling, but there was also a strange sense of clarity. I wasn't powerless here. I wasn't stuck. This was my opportunity to take control, to not just walk away but rebuild everything on my terms. I wasn't going to let Tate or Greg push me around, not anymore. I picked up the phone, dialing Kate's number. "Hey," she answered quickly, her voice calm as always. "I've been listening to Greg's voicemails. He's losing it. And he's blaming Tate for everything. I can't believe I didn't see it before." There was a long pause on the other end. Then, "Yeah, I figured. He's been making a mess of things." I frowned. "Wait, you knew?" "I've been keeping track," she said softly. "I wasn't sure if I should tell you while we were away, but I've been documenting Tate's actions. I've seen enough to know he's been undermining everything you did. The bids, the contracts, some shady stuff with the contractors. He's been cutting corners and leaving a trail of problems." My stomach twisted. I couldn't believe it. Kate had been watching this happen, and I didn't even know. How much do you have? How bad is it?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "I've got copies of emails, a few receipts, even some notes he made on a project that's been blowing up." "It's all right there," she said, her voice steady but something darker in it now. "I don't think Greg knows the extent of what Tate's been doing. I'm not sure he'd care if he did." I felt a rush of anger, but something else too. There was a power in this. Kate had been smart, gathering everything she could. She was as ready to fight this as I was. I rubbed my forehead, trying to process it all. I need to confront Greg. I need to know what he's going to do about Tate. I don't trust him anymore, but maybe I can get something out of him. "Paul," she sighed, "you don't need to go back to that place. You don't need them. I leaned back in the chair, my fingers tapping the table. I know, but I can't just walk away. I need to see how deep this goes. If Tate's done all this, I'm not just going to let him get away with it. Kate was quiet for a moment, and then she said, I get it. But don't forget what we talked about. You can rebuild on your own. You don't need that company anymore. You've got options. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But there was something eating at me. Greg needed me. He needed me to clean up the mess, fix the company, put everything back together. And Tate, he needed to pay for what he'd done. I took a deep breath and set my jaw. I'll figure out how to make this work, but I'm not going in blind. I'm calling some old colleagues, get a feel for what's possible. Maybe we can work on something else while I handle this. Kate's voice softened. I'm with you. Whatever you decide, I'm here. I ended the call and sat there for a moment longer, weighing my options. The pieces were coming together. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I had the power to make a move, and I was going to make sure that move counted. Tate had his time, and now it was mine. I spent the next few days lost in the work. My mind buzzed with new ideas for a consulting firm, systems I could build that would keep projects on track and hold companies accountable. I wasn't just going to leave the mess behind, I was going to fix it my way. I'd seen too many shortcuts, too many half-assed plans get pushed through just to hit deadlines. I knew there was a better way to do things, and I had the experience to prove it. I started drafting a business plan, sketching out what a new firm could look like. A firm that combined the hard skills of architecture with a rigorous commitment to compliance and ethical standards, something that would catch the mistakes Tate had been making before they went public. I knew the city's planning department well. I knew the red tape, the shortcuts, the loopholes. I could build a system that would prevent all that from happening, a system that would make it impossible for anyone to pull the kind of shit Tate had been pulling. As I was mapping everything out, the phone rang. It was Greg. Paul, I've been trying to reach you. His voice was tight with urgency. Listen, I don't know what's going on with you, but we need you back. I've got a mess here. Tate screwed everything up, and I'm at my wit's end. I'm offering you triple your old salary to come back and fix this. For a moment, I just stared at the phone, the weight of his words hanging in the air. Triple? My old salary was nothing to sneeze at. But it wasn't just the money, it was the offer. It was Greg admitting that everything had gone to hell without me, that he needed me to save him from the mess Tate had created. But as I stood there, the words Kate had said before echoed in my mind. This is your chance to do it your way. I took a deep breath and swiped the phone to my ear. Greg, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not coming back. There was a long silence on the other end. Paul, don't be stupid. This is your chance to make things right. We'll fix everything, your way. Triple the salary, all the control you need. I could hear the desperation in his voice, and it almost made me second-guess myself. Almost. I'm done with Crescent, Greg. I'm done with the way you've been running things. And I'm done with Tate. You should have figured it out before it got this far, I said, my voice steady. Paul, please, he said, his voice low now. I can't do this without you. You'll regret walking away from this. I could feel the temptation, the pull to take the easy way out. I could go back, fix the mess, take the money, and maybe even take some pleasure in watching Tate squirm. But it wasn't the right thing. It wasn't what I wanted anymore. I'm not coming back, Greg. I've got bigger plans. I'll make it work without you. There was a pause. You're making a mistake. I ended the call before he could say anything else. For a second, I just stood there, the phone still pressed to my ear, trying to shake off the gravity of what I'd just done. But I knew deep down that I'd made the right decision. I was done with Crescent, done with the broken system. I picked up my business plan again, the excitement building inside me. I didn't need Greg or the old company. I had a chance to do something bigger, something better. It was time to build something that couldn't be torn down. Before I could dive back in, my phone buzzed again. Greg's name flashed on the screen, but this time, I didn't hesitate. I let it go to voicemail. I was done. Now, I just had to make it happen. The next few days passed in a blur. I kept working on the business plan, refining my ideas, laying the groundwork for my future. But Greg wasn't going to let me go that easily. His calls kept coming, and this time, the message he left was different. Paul, I've got a proposition for you. You don't have to walk away. I'm offering you partial ownership of Crescent. We'll make you a partner, give you control of your own projects. You can fix everything, do it your way. You're the only one who can. Let's talk. I let the message sit for a while, my thoughts spinning. ownership, control. It was tempting. It was more than tempting. It was huge. He was basically handing me the keys to the kingdom. All I had to do was walk back into that mess and clean it up. No more running from it, no more starting from scratch. But the more I thought about it, the more it felt like I was being lured back into the same broken system. Sure, I'd have control, but it would still be Crescent, still be Greg at the top, still be Tate screwing things up behind the scenes. I wasn't sure I wanted to fix a broken system. I was starting to think I wanted to build something new. I called Kate. I needed to hear her voice, needed her to remind me why I was doing this. Greg called again, I told her, getting right to the point. I know. He left a message this morning. I'm guessing he's offering you the world, she said, her voice calm, almost too calm. He wants to make me a partner. I'd have control of my projects, fix the mess Tate created, I said, pacing around the room, already feeling the weight of the decision. Do you want that? Do you want to fix something that's already broken? She asked, the question cutting through all my thoughts like a knife. I stopped pacing. What do you mean? Think about it, Paul. You've already started something new. You're building something that can't be torn down. You have the chance to do it right this time, without the old baggage. You don't need Crescent. I stood there, feeling a rush of clarity. She was right. Fixing Crescent, even with all the control in the world, wouldn't fix me. It wouldn't fix the fundamental problems with the company, the toxic culture, the shortcuts, the dishonesty. No matter how many times I went in and cleaned it up, it would just keep getting dirty again. I'm not going back, I said, my voice firm. But I'll make Greg an offer. Kate didn't say anything at first. She just let me think it through. I'll come back as a consultant. I'll fix the mess Tate created, but I'm not going to be a partner. I won't be part of that system anymore. It's going to be my way, ethics first. If Greg wants me back, that's the deal. I won't take any part of the company, but I'll take control of every project Tate's working on. I want to triple-check everything, no exceptions. A long silence followed. I could almost hear Kate processing it. You're really going to make him agree to that? I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it to make sure Tate pays for what he's done. He's going to be accountable, no matter how much Greg resists. Paul, she said, her tone softer now, almost admiring. You've got him by the balls. I smiled, despite the situation. Yeah, I think I do. I called Greg shortly after, and as expected, he was eager, desperate even. I've been thinking about your offer, I said, cutting straight to it. I'll come back, but only as a consultant. I'll fix what Tate's done, but it's not going to be your company anymore. It's going to be mine too. There was a pause, then Greg's voice cracked. You're going to make me a consultant? I'm giving you a choice, Greg. I'm not walking back into that place as a partner. I'll help you fix it, but I'm not going to be part of the problems anymore. If I'm going to come in, I need full control over Tate's projects. I'll triple-check everything, hold his feet to the fire. If that's not good enough for you, then I'll walk. It's up to you. He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, it was with a tone of reluctant acceptance. Fine, you've got it. I'll agree to everything. But you better fix this, Paul. I will, I said, hanging up the phone. I will. The deal was set. I had the leverage I needed, but even as I felt a rush of victory, I couldn't shake the feeling that Greg wouldn't keep his word. There was still so much to prove, so much to untangle, but I had the upper hand now, and Tate's real punishment was about to begin. I walked into Crescent for the first time in weeks, and something immediately felt off. It wasn't just the dust on the desks or the half-finished renovations. It was the vibe. Everything was different. The layout, the people, the energy. The place had been gutted and reorganized, like someone had ripped out the heart of the company and tried to shove a new one in. New faces, new systems. It wasn't the Crescent I remembered. It was like they'd started over from scratch. I was led into the conference room, where the city's representatives were already gathered for a critical meeting about the downtown revitalization project. I hadn't been told much, just that my presence was necessary to help steer things back on track. As I walked in, one of the project managers briefed me quickly on the agenda. Paul, good to have you back. We've got a lot of ground to cover today. Let's get started. I nodded, taking a seat at the head of the table. But as I glanced around the room, my eyes caught something. Or, rather, someone, unexpected. Tate wasn't there. I raised an eyebrow. Where's Tate? The project manager cleared his throat. Oh, Tate's... Well, he's been reassigned. He's back in a junior role now, entry-level project coordinator. They've made some changes. I tried not to show any reaction. Tate, demoted. It was hard to believe, even harder to feel sympathy for him. But I didn't dwell on it. I had a meeting to focus on. As we dove into the project details, I found myself pulling the team back from the brink of disaster. The mistakes were still there, buried under layers of new plans and revisions. But I was seeing through the veil. I knew Tate's messes when I saw them. The meeting wrapped up, and I stepped out into the hallway. As I turned a corner, I almost ran straight into Tate. He looked different. His eyes were downcast, his shoulders hunched in a way I hadn't seen before. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something close to shame. He didn't meet my gaze. "Hey, Paul," he muttered, his voice almost inaudible. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for everything, for what happened before. I raised a hand, cutting him off. "Save it, Tate. You've got your own problems to sort out." He flinched at my words, and I walked past him without another glance. Part of me wanted to enjoy this moment, to take some satisfaction in his downfall. But I didn't. I had no interest in dragging this out. I'd already won. After the meeting, I spent the rest of the afternoon going through the project's files, checking the numbers, cross-referencing the budgets. Nothing was right. The contractors were still pushing inflated bids, and there were discrepancies in the timelines. Tate's mess was still being swept under the rug, but I knew better. I knew exactly where to look, and I wasn't going to let it slide. I called Kate, frustrated. The mistakes are still there. Everything he touched is still a ticking time bomb. I can't fix this all in one day. "You don't have to," she said, her voice steady. "You're already doing the right thing. It's going to take time, but you'll fix it. You're in control now, Paul." I hung up, the weight of it all pressing down on me. I had the reins, but I wasn't sure I had the power to prevent everything from falling apart again. Not yet, anyway. Then the call came through. "Paul," Greg's voice was tense. "There's been a problem with the downtown project. One of Tate's contractors missed a critical safety feature in the plans. It's going to delay the whole thing. We need to fix this now, or it could derail everything." I closed my eyes, feeling the frustration build in my chest. Tate's mess wasn't just a mess. It was a bomb waiting to explode, and now it was my job to clean it up before it took everything down with it. The mistake was bigger than I thought. The missing safety feature in the downtown project was a glaring, potentially catastrophic error. It didn't just affect the timeline. It put people's lives at risk. And somehow, no one had caught it until I dug deeper into the plans. It was Tate's failure, no question about it. But now, it was my responsibility to fix it. I didn't waste any time. I contacted the city's planning department, flagged the issue, and made sure they knew what was at stake. The city moved quickly to ensure the safety feature was added and the plans corrected. The project's timeline was delayed, but at least it would be safe. The news hit the press the next day. "Critical safety feature missed in downtown project. City demands immediate correction." Greg called me within hours, his voice seething. "Paul, what the hell did you do? You just embarrassed us in front of the whole city. This is a disaster." I remained calm. "Greg, you wanted me to fix the mess. I'm doing it. You can't keep ignoring the mistakes Tate made and expect everything to go smoothly." He groaned. "This is going to set us back months. You know how hard it is to recover from something like this." "You're welcome," I said, not even bothering to hide the bite in my voice. "Maybe next time, you won't let someone like Tate run the show." There was a long pause. "You better fix this, Paul. The city's rewriting the submission standards now. It's going to make it harder for everyone." I didn't take the bait. I wasn't in the mood for his threats anymore. "I will, but you should be thanking me. This is going to make it harder for shortcuts to happen again, not just for Crescent, but for every firm in this city. Maybe this mess will actually lead to something better." Greg didn't respond. He was probably too angry to think clearly. Good. I was done with the old way of doing things. The industry needed change, and if I had to be the one to push for it, then so be it. Meanwhile, Crescent was crumbling under its own weight. The incompetence I'd uncovered, the mess Tate had created. It was all starting to show. The company had a long way to go before it could recover, and I wasn't sticking around to fix it anymore. I had my own business to build. My consulting firm was thriving. I'd picked up a few more clients in the weeks since I'd left Crescent. The systems I'd designed to catch mistakes before they became disasters were in high demand, and my reputation for transparency and accountability was spreading. I'd created something real, something that couldn't be torn down. Tate's climb from the bottom wasn't going fast. He was still stuck in that entry-level position, handling the grunt work, and I could see it. The arrogance he once carried had been replaced with something closer to the quiet humility. It wasn't enough to earn my respect just yet, but there was something different in the way he approached his work now. He was starting to take things seriously, and for the first time, I could see he was trying to make up for his mistakes. I didn't take pleasure in his struggle. In fact, it made me wonder whether I'd ever been right to wish for his downfall. Maybe this was the redemption I didn't see coming. Tate was learning, and that was more than I could have hoped for. I was done playing the victim. I'd stopped waiting for others to fix things for me. Now, I was in control. I'd built my future on my own terms, and it was better than anything revenge could have given me. I wasn't out for destruction. I was out for something that would last. As for Crescent, it would survive or it wouldn't, but that was no longer my problem. What mattered was the work I was doing now, the work that would make sure this kind of mess didn't happen again. And if Tate really was changing, maybe he'd be part of that shift too.